Chances are that you're here because you're interested in living with less or having a more minimalist wardrobe, but it sounds incredibly overwhelming and you're not sure where to start. I tried Project 333 back in 2015 because at the time I realized that I had all of this stuff around me and I was spending more time managing it than I was actually enjoying it. Tidying and cleaning up my home took forever, picking out an outfit took forever, and even though I had all of these things that I had always wanted, it actually brought me more stress than it brought me joy. So today I wanted to share with you my personal experience with Project 333 because even though I admit it was a bit rough and bumpy in the beginning, that was my first experience with living with significantly less than the average person in America has. And it's what set me up in this pathway to living with less, something that I still do today. And if you're new to me and my channel, welcome. My name is Fernanda and I make videos to help you make the most out of your wardrobe. And one of my favorite things to do is putting together capsule wardrobes. So if you're into that, please subscribe. You can hit the diamond over here to do so and ring that bell so that you don't miss when I post new videos. So first let's go over the basics and discuss what Project 333 actually is. Project 333 is a minimalist fashion challenge created by author Courtney Carver in which you dress with only 33 items of clothing or less for a period of 3 months. What you count in those 33 items are any clothes that you need to work or play in, any shoes, accessories, purses, and outerwear. What doesn't count is your sleepwear, your loungewear, all of those things that you wear inside your house but you would never wear outside, your underwear, and your workout clothes. But your workout clothes have to work out. If you regularly wear like athleisure to run errands or take your kids to the park over the weekends, then those you do count in your 33 items. The rest of your stuff you box up and you put it away so that you don't actually see it, but you don't get rid of it. And you wear that 33-piece capsule for 3 months straight. And at the end of those 3 months, then you revisit your capsule, pull out clothes from your old wardrobe, get rid of what you don't like, and start all over again. The timeline she recommends is from January through March, April through June, July through September, and October through December. During that period of 3 months, you don't shop and you don't swap items in and out. You reserve those two activities for when you're transitioning between two capsules. And she has a whole book about it, which I admit that I have not read in its entirety, but I will link it for you guys in the description box below. And if that sounds difficult or challenging, I'm 100% with you. 33 feels like a shock to the system if you're coming from an average size wardrobe. And in a way, that's kind of the point. While she does say that this is not a project in suffering, she does recommend that the first time you do it, you follow all the rules to the T. And neither her nor I personally recommend that you shop to put together your first capsule wardrobe, but instead that you shop the stuff that you already have. Why? Because this is really a process of learning what works for you, what you like, what you don't like, what works for your lifestyle. Because chances are that if you have an overcrowded wardrobe of things that you don't wear, you haven't really learned to identify that yet. In my personal opinion, that is what is most valuable about the project, that your personal style, your taste, all of those things reveal themselves to you over time. If after the first 3 months, then you notice that there's a variation on the project that might suit you better, by all means, try it. After all, this is not a challenge and torture. And whenever I talk about Project 333 or dressing with capsule wardrobes, these are the two most common hesitations that I hear. 1, people will notice. First of all, I want you to examine that voice inside of you that says that and really think, why do I care if people know that I have a capsule wardrobe? But the truth is that no, they won't. I know from personal experience and from other people who have capsule wardrobes that actually the opposite happens. Once actually I packed like a super minimalist capsule for a work trip where I was with other women, and I had repeated items every single day of the trip, and they actually told me like, wow, you brought so many clothes. And I had brought significantly less than the rest of them did. I just learned how to use them well. And the second thing that I hear is, it won't be enough and I will get bored. Maybe. That's possible. But it's also possible that it is just enough and you won't know until you try. And to be clear, if you have a wardrobe full of stuff because you love fashion and you love getting dressed every morning and it's a huge expression of your personality, then this is not for you. This is for the person who has a closet full of clothes but they still feel like they have nothing to wear, or they have a closet full of clothes and they wear the same thing over and over again. So let's go over some of the pros and cons, starting with the pros. 1, less decision fatigue for sure. This was huge for me. Second, less money spent on clothes. And I will say that I spent less money on clothes now, but my clothes are higher quality and just better than they were before. 3, less time spent thinking about clothes and shopping for clothes in the immediate months after starting Project 333. 4, obviously the knowledge that you get from it is invaluable in my personal opinion, because that's how you really define your personal style. It's much easier to identify that once you pare down so much. And lastly, once you realize that you can actually get away with a lot less, that practice starts to seep into other areas of your life. It is not what 100% made me change my relationship with material objects. For me, that award goes to Marie Kondo. Story for a different day. But for me, P333 was kind of like a gateway drug into living with less. And speaking of pros, another huge one is giving this video a big thumbs up if you're finding it helpful. Cons? It's not easy and it's not intuitive. It can be very challenging the first few times, and even she admits this. Second, Courtney Carver is not going to give you a guide of what you should have in your capsule wardrobe. She is not a fashion expert per se. And this is a difficult part. You have to figure that out for yourself. In her book, she has a guideline of what she includes, but it actually looks very dissimilar to what I have in mine. So you have to figure it out and put in the work. Next, the number 33 for me feels completely arbitrary. Even when I was doing it, I never really understood where she came up with that number, 33. And only recently I read that she came up with that number because she made a list of everything that she thought she needed. And that was a list of 45 items. And because she wanted to challenge herself, she cut that by like 20% to 33. And it fit nicely with 33 items for 3 months. But I have to say that for me, that always felt like a cute marketing ploy as opposed to like an actual practical number. Next, the seasonal nature of the project in 3-month increments works very well if you live in a place that has very defined seasons where the temperature changes that often. But if you don't, it's just kind of random, and every 3 months might not be the best time for you to switch out your wardrobe. So this is something that I do recommend that you adjust as you go forward to match more the climate where you live. And lastly, laundry. When I first did it, I was doing laundry practically every week, but I've never actually lived in a place where I had my own washing machine in the apartment. I've always used communal laundry. So doing laundry every week was incredibly impractical for me. Now I've gotten to a point where I have enough clothes and I know how to wear them and like style them enough so that I can go for 2 weeks without doing laundry. But in the beginning, that was rough. And lastly, now I spend more time shopping. I wouldn't say that I shop more often than I did before, but I've become so particular about the things that come into my wardrobe that it actually takes longer to find them. So that to me was a huge con because I personally don't like shopping. So I have some tips if you guys are putting together your first capsule wardrobes, and I also have some answers to questions from you guys. First, if you're thinking of starting, summer is the best time to start because you need a lot less stuff. Second, somebody asked how I deal with drastic changes in temperatures. The key here is layers. Make sure that you include as many layers as possible in your first capsule so that you can achieve the level of warmth that you need, as opposed to just relying on the outerwear shell, like say your raincoat or your coat, to give you that kind of warmth and protection from the elements that you need. A great example of this is my spring capsule wardrobe, which if you haven't seen, I will link in the cards above. I layered a ton with that one. Next, I was asked how I stick to not purchasing clothes in between seasons. And the truth is that in the beginning, it can be a little tricky because we're not as practiced in putting together what we think we will need. But it's only temporary. You just don't shop for it and you resist that urge and you ride it through till the end of those 3 months, unless it's something that you really, really need. It's not an exercise in torture. But the truth is that over time, you don't really need to shop in between capsules because you get better at looking ahead and seeing what you will need. Think of it like with food. If you are starving and you're getting home from work, but you know that you have something in the fridge that you can easily heat up and you'll love, then you don't really feel the need to stop and get takeout. But if instead your fridge is empty, that increases the chances that you'll spend money on food outside of your home. It's the same thing with your closet. If you start to build a closet that like really works for you, then the need to shop constantly outside of that becomes very minimal because you have everything you need. And if you are ready to start, Courtney Carver recommends that you pull everything out of your closet and separate it into 3 piles. A love pile, a maybe pile, and a toss pile. And then you create your first capsule for only the love pile. I personally don't think that is the right way to go, because everything in your love pile is not necessarily going to be a practical piece for your wardrobe. Instead, I recommend that you use my capsule wardrobe formula, which I will link in the cards for you guys above here, and then expand from there. because that will make sure that you have a wardrobe that is practical as opposed to a wardrobe of, say, like only statement pieces that you love. That flimsy little tank top that you have that is in your maybe pile, you may not love it, but the truth is that you do wear it a lot because it's practical, because it's a workhorse of your wardrobe. And you do need those pieces in order to have a cohesive capsule. And lastly, some of you guys wanted to see an example of a capsule wardrobe with print and color. And if you haven't seen my videos before, that is mostly all I do because I do love print and color. So I will leave you some linked in the description box below. But if you're looking for something even more bold and more bright, I was thinking that it might be fun for me to create a capsule wardrobe for a mock person for you guys and put it up on Pinterest. So if you guys do want to see that, let me know in the comments below. And also, let me know what kind of dress code you guys have to wear to work, because the most common dress code is the one that I would like to incorporate in this mock Project 333 capsule wardrobe. While I don't follow Project 333 to the letter anymore, there were certain things about it that have stayed with me since then. For example, I still create a seasonal mini capsule, which you've seen if you've seen my channel before, every 3 months, and I put away the rest. Why? Because I want to make sure that my wardrobe is cohesive and works together and gives me a lot of options, but I don't sweat it when it comes to like how many pieces or counting my jewelry or my purses or anything like that. But the truth is that I have so little that it doesn't even make sense to count it. And the reason why I put my off-season clothing away is because in a hot July day like today, I don't want to open my dresser and see a thick wool sweater. If I can't realistically wear it today, then I don't want to see it. It's just visual clutter in my mind. And the first few times I was super rigid with not shopping and swapping in and out, and now I don't really sweat it. If I come across something that I think would really benefit my wardrobe, then I go ahead and I include it. But I will say that I usually do get rid of something else at the same time so that I keep the number consistent. I usually only get rid of something or bring in something new if something's like really damaged and needs to be replaced. Rarely happens, but it does. So overall, I love what she's done. Even though her specific guidelines do not work for me long term, she did set me off on this incredible path, and that is huge for me. It was a great place to start. For me personally, the key to success with Project 333 was really being willing to examine those complicated emotions that come up when we feel the urge to shop or when we refuse to part with something that is really no longer serving us. To be able to say like, okay, what just happened that is making me feel like this necessity to shop? Or like, what does this object mean to me that I cannot part with? Because in the end, excessive shopping or excessive hoarding are bad habits, just the same way that smoking is. But awareness is the first step to changing them. The whole point is that scarcity brings clarity. There's a reason why it is called a challenge. It wouldn't be a challenge if it wasn't difficult. For me personally, it was a great exercise, even if it doesn't make sense as an ongoing practice or a philosophy. I hope this video was helpful and that it gave you plenty of food for thought when it comes to Project 333. If you have tried it, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about it, pros, cons, do you still do it? And if you haven't, I specifically want to hear from you. Have you not heard about it before, or why haven't you tried it, and what is holding you back? If you do like this video, it would mean so much to me if you give it a big thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. And if you're new, please don't forget to subscribe before you leave. There is a button you can click over here to do so, and ring that bell so that you're notified every time I post new videos. I'm here every single Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I will see you next week. Bye.